separated from the association of devotees. Some of you know this common song. It's a song by Narottam Das. Narottam Das does not mention Haridas Thakur in this particular song, directly at least. He didn't have any association. Haridas Thakur was, basically speaking, very humble. He was kept in the background anyway. And he was in Puri, so he was like in a special category. But still, the principle is the same. So we'll sing this. We won't go into the details of the song. A devotee cannot tolerate life without the association of devotees, practically. Ye anilo premadonna Kuruna pacho. Anyone found it? Ye anilo premadonna Kuruna pacho. Ye anilo premadonna Madanga. Hino Prabhu Kota Gela Charya Thakur Kaha Mora Sharup Rupa Kaha Shanata Ahama Sharup Rupa Kaha Shanata Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahamora Bata Yoga Kaha Kavira Mora Bata Yoga Kaha Kavira Ekakale Kota Kela Gora Tara Ekakale Kota Kela Gora Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashivo Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashivo Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashivo Pashane Kutibo Mata Oranga Gunera Nidi Kota Kelepa Oranga Gunera Nidi Kota Kelepa Oranga Gunera Nidi Kota Kelepa Kulunga Gonera Nidi Kota Sesaba Sangira Sange Chikoilo Bila Sesaba Sangira Sange Chikoilo Bila Sesaba Sangira Sange Chikoilo Bila Sangana Paya Kande Naro Tamada Sangana Paya Kande Naro Tamada Sangana Paya Kande Narottamada Anilo Premadana Karuna Pacho Ino Prabhu Kota Gila Karya Thakur Kota Gila Karya Thakur Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Haridas Thakur Haridas Thakur Haridas Thakur Jaya Haridas Thakur
Haridas Thakur Jaya Haridas Thakur Haridas Thakur Jaya Haridas Thakur
Shila Namacharya Haridas Thakur Shila Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Srila Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Srila Namacharya Jayan Haridas Thakur Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Go Premanande Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Go Premanande Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namani Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nevasesha Sanyavadi Pastichari Namami Haridasam Tang Chaitanyang Tang Chatat Prabhum Sangstitam Apiyan Murtin Spanke Kridva Nanartayaha. If you want to, there's not really much to follow, to be honest. But this is the first verse of the Antya Lila, chapter 11, text 1. Antya Lila of CC, chapter 11, text 1. But, there's not really much to follow, just a verse. I'm not going to be reading, systematically or anything. Let me offer my respectful obeisances as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who compiled the Chaitanya Charitamrita writing about Haridas Thakur. He heard a lot about Haridas Thakur from Raghunath Das Goswami, because Haridas Thakur was in Puri pretty much the same time as Raghunath Das. So they were associating with each other. So otherwise, what would be known? But by the grace of Raghunath Das Goswami, much is known about Haridas Thakur. Let me offer my respectful obeisances under Haridas Thakur and his master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced with the body of Haridas Thakur on his lap. And today is the Tirubhavani, the day when the pure devotees of the Lord unmanifest their pastimes and re-enter, or whatever you want to call it, into their eternal pastimes. They never really leave them, but they appear to do. So these eternal associates can appear in many pastimes at once and perform many different types of services to the Lord in his different manifestations, his different incarnations, as we'll see. Two more. There's a beautiful glorification of Haridas Thakur in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You feel like I read the Bengali a little bit. Antya Lila, there's in the back there. Someone can look, please. If someone who's familiar with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, please bring me the third chapter of the Antya Lila, text 90. Anyway, bring me the third, the Antya Lila, chapter 3. If you're familiar with the Antya Lila, good. Thank you. What's your name, Prabhu?
Jitendra.
Pardon?
Jitendra.
Jitendra, that devotee we heard about. Huh?
Victory.
Kitchery?
Victory.
Huh?
Victory.
Victory.
Jitendra.
Oh yeah, Victory, Jitendra. Victory. One who conquers over the senses. Jitendra. Yeah. This is text number 94. We just read a few verses. Close the book for a moment. Lord Chaitanya, let's see, here he is. Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Tabi Mahaprabhu Nito. Oh, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhaktavindam. Om Gyanatam Nandasya Ganandina Shalakaya Chakshora Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Tapi Mahaprabhu Nija Bhakta Pashiyana Haridasera Guna Kahe Shatamukkahana. Thus, or then rather, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities, as if he had hundreds of mouths. Bhaktara guna kahite prabhora baraye vulas Bhaktagana shreshta tate Shri Haridas. Text 94, Antilila, chapter 3. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, and among his devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. Haridasera gunagana asankhya apar keha kona angshe vanane nahi payapara. The transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are immeasurable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but to count them all is impossible. Chaitanya Mangale Shri Vrindavan Das Haridasera Guna Kichu Kariyachena Prakash. In the Chaitanya Mangala, of course that's later on called Chaitanya Bhagavan, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. Sabakaha Nayaya Haridasera Charitra Keha Kichu Kahi Karite Apana Parivitra. No one can describe all the qualities of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. So we'll hear something about the attributes, I hope, of Haridas Thakur this morning. A little bit. We don't have time to go through readings, unfortunately, much. Because Haridas Thakur is, of course, known very famously as the Nama Acharya. Nama Acharya means the teacher of the holy name, not just by Lord Chaitanya said him personally to Haridas. He said, you are not just spreading a holy name, teaching, but you're also living by the same principle. You are perfect because you both practice as well as preach. Perfect example of one who is namakari, one who is completely surrendered or servant of the holy name. And this is Haridas Thakur as the emblem. Lord Chaitanya actually cited him as being the Nama Acharya in his pastimes. His most important, practically speaking, as far as the world around us is concerned, the most important introduction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the world was introducing the Maha Mantra for public chanting, Sankirtan. And this was his externally major introduction in the world today, was to introduce the public chanting of the holy name. And this was, basically speaking, represented in a form, both japa and kirtan, he wasn't just doing japa, of Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Was chosen. Very interesting history of Namacharya Haridas Thakur. There's often a lot of, let's say, I don't know, not a lot of discussion, but some discussion on who is he? Who is Haridas Thakur that he is chosen for the one person for this yuga? You know, Lord Chaitanya's once in a day of Brahma appears in this form and introduces this Prem Sankirtan mission, not just Sankirtan, Prem Sankirtan. And he chooses Haridas Thakur as his main, in this regard, at least pretty much, his main man to spread the Yuga Dharma. So when we ask who is he, of course we hear many things. We hear that he's Lord Brahma, that's very well known. But he's Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma has appeared as Haridas Thakur, that's correct. We also hear he's Brahma Mahatapa, the son of a Brahmana, who somehow or another performed some offence by not washing the tulsi leaf before offering it to the Lord, and had to take birth in a low family, a Chandala family. And we also hear his Prahlad Maharaj. All these things are stated in scripture. Kavi Kanapur, in his description of the various associates of the Lord, describes him as Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada also agrees with that. All these are true, and there's more to it than that as well. All those statements are true, but we might hear something a little later about that, and perhaps I can briefly read. I don't know if I cited some quotations on that or not. Let's have a look. Well, we'll say some more glories of Haridas. Okay, we'll read one or two. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat. I assure you that one who simply chants the name of Haridas without offence will certainly attain the abode of Krishna. What to speak of his touch, just by seeing Haridas, one is released from the bondage of fruitive activities. Indeed, even if one sees a person who has taken shelter of Haridas, he is freed from material bondage. Everyone, whether elevated or wretched, automatically forgets about mundane life when he sees the lotus feet of Sri Haridas Thakur. One who sees Haridas dancing is freed from all bondage. When Haridas dances, Lord Krishna personally dances. Thus the whole universe can be purified by seeing his dance. During the Rath Yatra festivals in Jagannath Puri, some of you may have been for that, I don't know. But Lord Chaitanya, when he was there for the Rath Yatra, he would personally select the leading kirtaniyas, who would play madungas, who would play kartals, and who would dance. The dancer was like the key person in the kirtan, together with the lead singer. These were the two key men. And Haridas Thakur was one of them. Lord Chaitanya formed 4 parties around the Jagannath Rath Yatra, and there were other parties too. But in the 4 formed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he selected 4 of his key men to dance. One of them was Haridas Thakur. And who knows who the others were?
Kasishna?
Pardon?
Kasishna?
No. Dancers. Not Keshishwan. Something similar to that. I think you you've got the right idea, but you probably just mentioned the wrong name. Vikreshwara Pandit. He was very famous. He could dance 72 hours non-stop without stopping for a second. He was famous for his dancing. Day and night he would not, if the kirtan's going on, he would not stop. He couldn't stop. See, these dancers are not just dancing for their own, passion or their own show. They dance as well as the singers. Everyone was chosen. In Leela, Krishna Leela or Gaur Leela also, everything has to be perfectly in sync, harmonious. So the singer was exactly singing the mood, the songs, which are exactly facilitating, embellishing the mood of Lord Chaitanya. Whatever mood he was in, Swarup Damodar, for instance, was one of the key singers, would sing exactly the tune according to the Lord's emotion, according to his mood, and the exact song, everything. And the dancer would also dance exactly according to the heart of the Lord. It wouldn't be like, you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing. Everything would be exactly in relationship with the Lord's heart. This is how the spiritual world operates, if you want to use that word. Everything is exactly pleasing to Krishna, exactly what's on his heart at that time, because there's unlimited things going on at the same. There's no time, but all the time there's unlimited things going on. But they're always with that in mind. The Lord is unlimited in his, let's say, his ladiniya, his pleasure shakti is unlimited. So in the Rath Yatra, Haridas was one of the dancers. Vikreshwar Pandit was another dancer. 2 other dancers were chosen by Lord Chaitanya. Who knows who they were? One very famous, Lord Chaitanya always loves to see him dance. Nityananda Prabhu. Wherever Lord Nityananda dances, Lord Chaitanya is there. He's always there present. You may see or not see, but he's always present. And who's the other one? One more. Advaita Acharya. Advaita was the other dancer. Four parties, four dancers, main lead dance. In the center of the kirtan, the dancer would dance exactly according to the mood of Lord Chaitanya's heart. And the same with the kirtan leaders like Sri Damodar, Haridas Thakur, Govinda Ghosh, and like that, different personnel, Mukunda, they were chosen as lead singers. And so his dancing was absolutely transcendental. When he would just see his dancing, would get freed of material bondage and purified. His name Haridas is appropriate, for the Lord constantly dwells in his heart. We'll just briefly mention how he got the name Haridas. He was born, as you may well know, in a village in East Bengal called Bhron. And he was born of Muslim parents. He wasn't born in a Hindu family. Quite unique. And it's not, of course, not much is described, at least biographically, of his childhood. But it's understood that he left home pretty early in his life. He left home. Exactly what the circumstances were, there's only, more or less, you could say, speculation. There's not much, let's say, authorized evidence there to say exactly how that happened, or whether there was some influence of another personality to influence him to leave home and take up. He appeared about 36 or 37 years before Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya appeared in when? Who knows? What year? By our Western calendar. When did Lord Chaitanya appear? That's an easy question. It should be an easy answer. Yeah, 1486 on the Western calendar. So if he's 36 years older, when did he appear? Come on, what have you learnt at school, Manjari?
50.
Yeah.
1466?
Not too bad, a good guess.
1450.
36 years older than Lord Chaitanya. So that means he appeared before him by 36 years, isn't it? So if Lord Chaitanya appeared in 1486, when would Haridas, more or less, anyway, no exact figure is not known, but roundabout, what would it be? Oh, this is a big question for those who are mathematics students. 86 minus 36. That's the easy way of looking at that. Does anyone know how to...
1450.
Well done. You must have a master's degree in advanced mathematics or something.
But I couldn't make it.
No problem. You did very well to get it there. Usually people have to use a computer or a calculator. Well done, well done. Around about 1450, Haridas was senior, and Advaita was even more senior, maybe by 15 years, more than that even. But they were both very senior to Lord Chaitanya by external, you could say, measure. And so he started chanting Hare Krishna, 3 lakhs. That means 300,000 names. Do you know how many rounds that is a day? How many rounds do you chant, Manjari?
At least 9, Maharaj.
How many?
At least 9.
9. At least 9 rounds. How old are you now?
8, Maharaj.
You're 8, one ahead. 9 rounds, amazing. That's wonderful. And how many rounds would Haridas Thakur chant?
192.
Approximately 192. 3 lakhs. 64 times 3 would become to 192. So we accept that. Like that. Literally speaking, 300,000 names is about 78 rounds or something. But it's understood he chanted around 192. So today, generally devotees chant 192 rounds on this day, isn't it? Is that the normal sadhana? Minimum 192 rounds today. Okay? No eating, no sleeping, nothing. Just chanting non-stop from midnight to midnight. It would take you that long, even if you could, to chant 192 rounds. If you chant a normal speed of 8 rounds an hour, that would take you 24 hours exactly. So you can understand he was chanting most of the day. He may have chanted a little quicker, of course, than 7 or 8 minutes a round. He was chanting a lot quicker. Because he was doing other things, like, discussing with Rupa Goswami and Sanatan when they were there, or with Lord Chaitanya or Govinda, or sometimes going out on kirtan, and other things, obviously. He just takes some prasadam, very little rest, hardly any. but he would chant probably a little quicker than we would. And how he got his name Haridas, well, that's quite easy if he's always chanting the holy name. He's obviously Haridas, but there's more to it than that. And it's described in, I'm not sure which book, maybe Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, one of it, I can't remember, somewhere. But it's described how in his previous lifetime, maybe it's in Chaitanya Mangala or somewhere, it's described in his previous lifetime that he was Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, as you know, he offended Krishna on the banks of the Yamuna and tried to steal the calves and the cow boys. So he felt really, really bad about it after, he was, let's say, had the revelation. Krishna gave him a revelation of what was going on there, and he was absolutely humiliated. And he felt so bad that he tested his Lord in such a way, offensive. And so he went. Of course, it's on a different plane. We can't see these planes. They're represented on our visionary platform. But he went to Navadvip, and there he performed austerities to get the mercy of the Lord to atone for his offensive behavior. So he become freed of all pride, prideless, humble. And the Lord appeared to him, but he appeared to him after time, of course, in the beautiful form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And Lord Brahma was overwhelmed in seeing this form of Lord Gauranga, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Gauranga, known then. He then, knowing the desire of Lord Brahma, assured him that his desire would be fulfilled. And when the Lord said, in this age I will be appearing in this form, my next form, this universe, so to speak, and you will be appearing with me as my chief assistant in the Nam Yogya, Nam Sankirtan. And there and then Lord Gauranga said, your name will be Haridas, and you will chant 300,000 names of Krishna every day, or Radha and Krishna. So he was, in one sense, that's basically, he was initiated directly by Lord Gauranga before he even appeared. So it's hardly surprising that was already in him, and it's just a matter of a little time. And there and then, before Lord Chaitanya had even appeared on the earth, Haridas Thakur was chanting 3 lakhs of names. And in the forest, a place called Benapole, which is a forest near Bhutan in Bangladesh now. And there he was chanting 3 lakhs every day. And of course, this was quite a scene, because born in a Muslim family, all the local people knew that, and here he was, he'd become a Hindu in the eyes of Muslims, of course. But amongst the Indians, amongst the Hindus, some of them were also envious. How is it now? He's doing this, he's born in a Muslim family, he's not qualified for this, and especially not qualified to get any respect from Hindus, because Hindus were respecting him now for, his services, his chanting day and night. Many Hindus were glorifying him as a great saint. So one local zamindar, a local landholder, a rich man, named Ramchandra Khan, he was very envious of Haridas. People were glorifying him. He didn't like this at all. He wanted to be glorified. So he tried to defame Haridas Thakur, and he sent one beautiful prostitute, Hirabai, Lakir Hirabai. She was that means that she was the most expensive prostitute in the area. She was like the queen of the prostitutes, you could say. And she promised she would defame him and cause him to fall down. So she went, on the order of Ramchandra Khan, who was rich, she sent her there at night. She went there in the dead of night to try to entice Haridas, alone in the forest, young man, he was a young man, apparently very handsome, in the middle of the night, and she was the most beautiful young lady, and she was accustomed to easily enticing men. She knew every trick of the trade, so to speak. But she arrived, and she was, although she was a prostitute by trade, she was respectful. She paid her obeisances to Tulsi Devi and to Haridas Thakur, and to Haridas Thakur, my dear lady, yes, I will, whatever you request, you have a request to me. I will fulfill your desire, but please kindly wait, because I have made a vow to chant 10 million names this month. Yeah? This month. So if you please kindly wait, and when I've finished, I assure you, I will fulfill all of your desires. So she waited that night, but still the chanting didn't finish. So she was getting tired, and Haridas said, "Oh, I'm very sorry, but I've still not finished my vow. So please come back tomorrow. I think that tomorrow I should be finished by then." So she went back, told Ramchandra everything, came back again the next day. Exactly the same thing happened as the previous night. He wasn't the least bit disturbed. He was just kept on chanting, 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 chanting. Prabhupada in the comments on these various verses, of course, describes how we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. He was chanting 300. The least we can chant 16 rounds a day. Even that, Prabhupada says, was different. We're having a hard time with. Many devotees struggle to even, and what to speak of the quality of those 16 rounds. But even to mechanically finish the 16 rounds is not easy for many people. For whatever reason, in devotees, we have different reasons. So what to speak of 192 rounds a day. Constant chanting of the holy name, Lord Chaitanya's mission. Trinada Pisa Nichena, Tura Pisa Hishna. This is Haridas Thakur's consciousness. So. And then after the second night, he said, "I'm sure that tonight I will finish, I'm positive." So she came back for the third time, very confident that tonight she will succeed in her mission of defaming Haridas Thakur. So she came back on the third night, and of course she was getting affected by this association of sitting there, even though she was a bit sleepy sometimes. She was still hearing Haridas Thakur chanting, 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 chanting. Her heart was becoming quickly purified, you could say. So after the third night, eventually Haridas Thakur finished his chanting, his vow of 10 million names that month. And he said, "Now I've finished my vow, you can please ask for me whatever you wish now. I will satisfy your desires." Pretty risky, huh? You could say pretty risky. Dead of night, she was showing parts of her body left, right, and center, and trying to entice him, but he was undisturbed. And by this time, her heart had changed, and instead of asking for what she came for, she fell on the ground, paying her obeisances, begging forgiveness. "Please save me, please save me, please deliver me from my wretchedness." She fell at his feet and took shelter of Haridas instead of trying to entice him, causing him to fall. She fell. And Haridas Thakur accepted her as basically like a disciple. He said, "Now you go home, give away all of your property to Brahmins and Vaishnavas, and you come back here, and you stay here, and you chant 300,000 names a day. Shave your head." It's not my head. "Shave your hair." "Shave your hair. Shave your hair." And she shaved her hair off and stayed there for the rest of her life, chanting 3 lakhs of names. And she became very famous. People were bringing her alms and what have you, from a prostitute to a pure devotee of the Lord. It's actually said that Haridas Thakur gave her prema. He gave her love of God. What a transition of a pure devotee of the Lord. And Haridas Thakur left. Of course, poor Ramachandra Khan, he suffered the consequences later on. Everything was, family destroyed, everything was destroyed. He was completely destroyed by another arrangement, nothing to do with Haridas. When you defame a pure devotee of the Lord, then there are heavy consequences, very heavy. They may not come immediately, they come in due course of time. Haridas Thakur said to her, "Think nothing of it. I knew you were coming before you came." He said, "I knew what your business was, even as soon as you came to see me on the first night. I know that Ramachandra Khan had sent you. I know everything about it. I stayed here only because of you. I would have left immediately otherwise, because I wanted you to take this on and to chant the holy name like this. Therefore I stayed until the right time, and now I will leave. But you stay here." Then Haridas Thakur left that place. And we can see, there's another incident where he was tempted by Mayadevi herself. Almost the same thing. When he was living in Puglia, in a cave, Mayadevi personified, the material energy personified, tried to tempt him. He was completely understanding. In fact, Mayadevi said she has captivated everyone, even Lord Brahma. But now, Haribol, Hare Krishna, good to see you, Risha. How are you?
I'm okay.
You're okay. That's
Yes.
good to see.
Come
Good
up
to-
to see you
Pardon?
maybe after.
A little bit, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Sorry about yesterday. I didn't sleep all night. I had to take a little rest.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, get a cushion or chair or something.
That's it, here.
Get a cushion. You might be bashed in the back. That's the door. You
There's
don't
no
sit
there.
on. Pardon? Don't sit on the door. Don't sit on the door. You can sit next to the heater if you want. It's a bit cool.
It's okay, no problem.
I'll sit here.
There you go. And she begged him. Maya Devi begged him after she tried everything and he wasn't tempted in any way. She begged him basically to become his disciple. And he engaged her. He gave her the Mahamantra and engaged even Maya Devi in this process, this Prem Sankirtan. So there are different instances like that. Anyway, after leaving Benipal, Haridas Thakur then moved on to what's the name of the village I've forgotten, but where Haranya and Govardhan Majumdar were living. They were the mother. They were the Govardhan Majumdar was the father of Raghunath Das Goswami. At that time was a young boy, just a young boy, maybe 6 years old or something, very young. And so Haridas went to their village, and they got wind of the fact that he was in their village. Their priest, Bhagavan Acharya, who was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, saw Haridas and invited him to the home. So he came there to the home of Govardhana and Haranya Majumdar, and they asked him to speak on the glories of the holy name. So he did. And he was quoting. I mean, he was a learned scholar, not necessarily one wonders how, because pure devotees of the Lord, they are directly connected to the Lord, and the Lord speaks through them, so they don't have to kind of like study and try to memorize like we do. They've already realized all the essence of all the scriptures. So he spoke on the glories of the holy name, but there was one employee of Haranya and Govardhan Majumdar. His name was Gopal Chakravarti, and he was really quite a puffed up fellow. He was born Brahmin, young, handsome man, very proud, very learned in his own way, but he was really a caste conscious person. So he was really, again, another person who got really disturbed when they found that he was born in a Muslim family, low class, normally it's considered meat-eating Chandala or something, born in a low-class family, and or a lecture family, and he was thinking, what is this nonsense this person is speaking? Because Haridas was saying that simply by Namabhas means not pure chanting, but not offensive either. It's in between, it's a clearing stage, or maybe by accidentally saying Krishna's name without any offense. One can get liberation. He was quoting various statements, and this Gopal Chakravarti couldn't handle that. He said, this is nonsense. It takes lifetimes. You have to be a Brahmin, and you have to do this, and that for lifetimes. And you're saying that simply anyone, just by once chanting the holy name of Krishna in Namabhas, can attain liberation? Are we supposed to sit here and listen to this nonsense? Who do you think you are? You're not even a Hindu. You have no right to speak like this. In another instance, similar thing actually, when Haridas was in another village called Harinadi, the same thing basically happened. It wasn't the same personalities involved, and they challenged him, and Brahmins are saying, we have understood that the end of Kali Yuga, that low-class Shudras and persons lower than Shudras will be so-called speaking the Vedas, but we see that this is already happening in the form of you. You low creature, how dare you speak on the Vedas? They were so offensive. So he was like that too, this Gopal Chakravarti, really offensive. And despite whatever Haridas Thakur said, he was blinded by his pride. He couldn't accept any statement of Haridas. Everyone else was like, it was like Shishupal or something, blaspheming Krishna, and everyone's holding back, until eventually, whoop, that was the end of Shishupal. But it is a little different in this case. Haridas Thakur felt no offense whatsoever. Zero. Absolutely zero. But everyone else was shocked and shattered. And they just chased him out. Get out of here, Gopal. This Gopal Chakravarti, don't come back. Get out. We never want to see your face again. They chased him away. Gopal and Haranya Majumdar, Govardhan and Haranya Majumdar and their assistants. They chased him away, said, "You're fired, you're no longer, you get out of here, don't come back to this village, you offender." So he left, and Haridas Thakur also left. He said, "Don't think nothing of it, he's just a young boy, he doesn't know much. Please don't take offence like this, there's no offence, he's just like a child, he doesn't know what he's saying, don't worry, don't worry." So he took no offence whatsoever, but everyone else was very, 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 very disturbed. And of course, after a few days, what this Gopal Chakravarti said, look, you low-class man, if it's not possible to attain liberation by namabas, I will cut your nose off, he said to Haridas. Haridas said, "My dear Gopal, no need to bother yourself. I will cut my own nose off if one cannot attain liberation through namabas." And then that was it. That was like, boom, everyone became furious when he said that. And this Gopal said that. So after a few days, this Gopal Chakravarti, who was a very handsome young man, he went down with leprosy. His nose melted and fell off. His fingers fell off. His toes fell off. His ears, everything just kind of like rotted. Became abominable, untouchable personality. It took a long time before he got freed from that. And the essential reason why, of course, any offence to a Vaishnava is very serious, but one normally goes to the Vaishnava to ask forgiveness. He didn't directly do that, but Haridas forgave him. But there's an underlying lesson there too, because this Gopal Chakravarti had blasphemed Haridas in public. It wasn't one-to-one. It was in public. So if anyone belittles falsely anyone else, come to that, but especially if it's a pure devotee of the Lord, any kind of blasphemy, whatever the reason may be of a pure devotee or an advanced devotee of the Lord, is unforgivable in public particularly. Even if you go to the person and beg forgiveness, is not enough. That will not work. You've got to beg forgiveness in the very forum in which you've offended the person. So if it's on social media, you have to make an open declaration on the same media that you are number one rascal and I've offended a Vaishnava and I deserve all the punishment coming my way. Otherwise one's not released. Pretty heavy, huh? Who does that? I don't know if that's possible for people to do this day, but that's the system that's supposed to be there. Social media is the most deadly thing that exists in the universe, practically speaking. It can be the greatest thing also if done properly, but now, most of the time, unfortunately, it brings out the ill effects of Kali Yuga. And we get entrapped in this horrible cycle of almost relishing offences, relishing criticisms, blasphemy, this, that, the other. It's a shocking form for destroying one's devotional creeper. This is the only thing, practically speaking, that can really smash the devotional creeper in little efforts. Other things, sins are nothing. Committing a sinful activity is peanuts. That can be overcome very easily. It's not very serious, but Vaishnava Aparad is really serious. Unfortunately, because we're not very advanced, we don't recognize Vaishnava offense, Vaishnava Aparad very easily. We recognize very easily a minor sin, like illicit sex or something like this. These are considered minor sins, practically. Vaishnava Aparad is unlimitedly more serious, unlimitedly. And that one goes by the wayside, almost praised. So that's Haridas Thakur's appearance in this world and some of his pastimes when moving forward. He is affectionate to all living entities. He is always engaged in their welfare. He accompanies the Lord whenever he incarnates. Whenever the Lord incarnates. Haridas comes in one form or another to assist the Lord in his incarnations. If, equal to all or compassionate to all, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Puri one time, he was, of course it's a Leela, but he was behaving in as if he was a little distressed. And Haridas Thakur, "My Lord, why are you feeling a little anxiety? How can I serve you? How can I relieve you?" Prabhupada says this is a disciple's duty, to relieve the spiritual master of anxiety. That's practically number one duty of a disciple. So he said, how can I relieve you, my Lord? And Lord Chaitanya said, I'm feeling disturbed because although the holy name is being spread to all the people everywhere, but what about the non-moving living entities, the trees, the stones, the mountains? What hope do they have? And Haridas Thakur said, my Lord, please do not be in anxiety. By the loud chanting of your holy name, even the stones, even the trees, every living entity is delivered. Do not fear. When you hear the echo, sometimes you chant in the forest, you hear an echo, or in the mountains. Yeah, that's the non-moving living entities chanting back. We saw it like that. There's no, my Lord, you're fulfilling all these desires. Do not be in anxiety. So Haridas Thakur was always in that mood of relieving Lord of his anxiety. He is never offensive to Vishnu or Vaishnavas, and even in dreams he does not deviate from the proper path. One who associates with Haridas for even a fraction of a moment will certainly attain the shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, that's an interesting statement, isn't it? Always desire to associate with a devotee like Haridas. Puts a little strange perspective on the fact he's supposed to be Lord Brahma. But it says here, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always desire to associate with him. That can be understood in many ways. I'm not going to go into it because it will become somewhat controversial without Shastric qualification exactly, other than references like this. People would gather around him just to see the unrestricted tears of Krishna prema that flow profusely from his eyes, drenching his entire body. Even the strictest atheist marveled at his behavior. Horripilation swelled across his body like thousands of blooming flowers, and even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were amazed by his devotion. Again, another reference which would raise question marks. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were amazed by his devotion. Thakur Haridas was the actual knower of the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. Here's another one. Lord Brahma is not usually known as one who knows all the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. Maybe he knows Aishwarya Bhav in the mood of Dasya Ras. Maybe a fraction of Vatsalya, but nothing much beyond that. Maybe a tickle of Sakya, but certainly nothing to do with conjugal Ras, that's for sure. But here it says that he's the actual knower of all the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. And he is the principal teacher for understanding Rasa Shastras, or literatures filled with the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. The Rasa Shastras, not just the Shastras dealing with, practicing devotional service, but the Rasa Shastras, the relationships. So we can understand Haridas Thakur is not just a practitioner like we may see him as, or someone who's trying to atone for his previous mistakes, trying to become free of pride or something, or just doing what they're told to fulfill a mission. He himself is the personification of perfection in loving relationships with Krishna. Okay, it's a nice verse. Mahabhakta Haridas Thakur Jaya Jaya Haridasa Sharanar Sanarani Sarva Papakshaya. All glories to the great devotee Haridas Thakur. By remembering Haridas, all one's sinful reactions are vanquished. So we've already heard a little bit about the Gorganadesh Dipika, Kavikarnapura, describing the associates of Lord Chaitanya in their other forms and other pastimes of the Lord. We've already heard that. Okay. So I don't think there's any more verses I'm going to read here. Oh, there's one wonderful verse. Haridas Thakur is, of course, noted by all the devotees in our line. Everyone looks to Haridas Thakur when it comes to chanting. And as we heard yesterday, Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote this book, Harinam Chintamani, where he depicts this conversation between Haridas and Lord Chaitanya on the glories of the holy name, and particularly on avoiding the 10 offences in chanting to come to pure devotional service. In the last verse, I think, of that series of discussions there, Haridas Thakur, one of the last verses, falls at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet and begs his help. Das aparada yena, hridaya napase, kripakari Mahaprabhu, maji namarase. O Mahaprabhu, please be merciful to me, so that the 10 offences never touch my heart, and I can always remain absorbed in the rasa of the holy name. Everything's in the holy name. He taught that every single, the absolute truth is fully present in the holy name. All relationships, everything is there in pure chanting. When we realize the name is non-different than the Supreme Lord, Krishna himself, and everything else becomes clarified. There's a beautiful prayer of Haridas Thakur. I don't know if I'm going to read anything else. So, of course, in the case of these various two pastimes primarily, which we've heard, and a few other ones added on, in both of these pastimes there are great lessons to learn. From the incident of Lakir Hirabai, of course, it's taking shelter of the holy name as the only shelter. Prabhupada wrote that to Gargamuni. He said, because most of the devotees were young men and young ladies, he said, if you're having problems with this attraction for sex life, etc., think of Haridas and pray to him. Because he was showing the example of how not to become affected by even the temptation of, loving relationships, so-called, in this lust, let's put it in reality, overcome by lust, by taking shelter. This is the only shelter. Vrindavan Das Thakur describes in that pastime, it says, Nirantara Namalo. This is the only shelter. The main lesson to be learnt from these pastimes is that only constant chanting of the holy name can protect us. We read that yesterday in your house also. Lord Chaitanya said, Vasudeva Vipra, in your house, that the only protection from pride was constant chanting of the holy name. Same thing for lust. Chant the holy name of Krishna, pray for protection. And remember Haridas Thakur. So many other lessons that we already learned, some of them in the case of Gopal Chakravarti, and from Haridas, his tremendous humility, his tolerance. Probably the most famous one in regards, we haven't got time to tell them all obviously, but one of the most famous ones was when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the house of Haridas Thakur in Mayapur. When Lord Chaitanya had been initiated, up to that point there's no relationship, there's no mention of a relationship with Haridas Thakur. When Lord Chaitanya took initiation from Ishwara Puri, that was when he was about 19-20 years into his pastimes. So he was only 4 or 5 years in Navadvip performing the Sankirtan. Up to that point, there was no mention of any connection between Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya. Haridas Thakur was very connected with Advaitacharya. They were very close associates. After leaving Govardhana Majumdar and Vanya, then Haridas went to the area of Shantipur, and there he associated a lot with Advaitacharya. Now this all took place before Lord Chaitanya appeared, because it's mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat that Haridas Thakur and Advaitacharya were praying for the Lord to appear in the world. They were together at that time, praying for the appearance of the Lord. So that pastime and other pastimes took place prior to the actual physical, the Lord's body is transcendental, but the actual manifest appearance of the Lord, they were performing these pastimes before the actual manifest appearance of the Lord. So when the Lord finally appeared for 19 years thereabouts, he was not manifesting his Sankirtan Leela by any means. And then after initiation he did, and they were having every night nocturnal kirtan in the house of Srivas Thakur, Chandrasekhar Acharya sometimes also. But in the house of Srivas Thakur, for a long period of time, one time Lord Chaitanya and his most intimate associates, his eternal confidential Nityasiddha associates, were only the ones gathered there, not the ordinary devotees or the sadhakas. Only the eternal associates who appeared with him would gather. And for many hours, many days in fact, he was forming this Mahaprakash, his special, he was revealing to each and every devotee their worshipable form, the devotees' hearts, who they worshipped, and then glorifying each and every devotee one by one by one by one in front of the others. So practically nobody knew who Haridas was, except for Advaita Acharya. The others just knew he was obviously a pure devotee. He's with Advaita, but they didn't know anything about his life or where he came from or anything. Then Lord Chaitanya started to speak as if he had, hundreds of mouths glorifying Haridas Thakur. And one of the things he said, Haridas, do you remember that time? Do you remember that time when you were arrested by the Muslims? There was this is a very famous pastime. So Lord Chaitanya told the pastime also of how that local Qazi, it's not the Chan Qazi, don't get it mixed up. A local Qazi, because Haridas was living in a place called Pulia, which is a little distance from Shantipur, near the bank of the Ganga. And the local Qazi, he was a magistrate, like a local magistrate, he's like the head on behalf of the king in that area. He became very upset and angry when he heard what you were doing. Haridas was living in a cave like a hollow in a tree. So he became very angry because you were born a Muslim and now you become a Hindu. That itself is a death penalty. What to speak if you preach and convert Muslims to Hinduism? This is the worst thing that could ever happen. So this Qazi became very upset. And naturally he went to the king, Nawab Hussain, complaining about what was going on, so the king was hearing him out. So the Qazi said we should arrest him and bring him to trial immediately. So they did. They sent the men there to Pulia to arrest, and they arrested Haridas and brought him to the king's court. But first he was placed in a prison. And most of the prisoners, of course, they were Hindus, because it's a Muslim government, so mostly Hindus were. And the Hindus, when they saw Haridas, they all became elated in one sense, because they realized they were now getting the association of a saint, a great devotee. So they were all very, very happy. And what do Hindus ask when they meet saints?
Blessings.
Blessings. Oh, Haridas, please give us your blessings. Please bless us. And that's all they ask for, is blessings. And their blessings, their idea of blessings is usually material, isn't it? Live a long life, get free from jail in their case. They all pray that, please help release us from this jail. Please bless us that we can be free. So that was their heart's intent. Haridas said, I bless you, you remain exactly as you are now. They were all devastated. Oh my God, what a blessing is this, stuck in the jail, I bless you, remain as you are now. They all became really morose. They started to wish they never asked in the first place. They're in there already, now they're like condemned almost, Anyway, not get more into blessings. Be careful what you ask for when you ask for blessings. That's all I can say. If you ask for material things, be careful. That's not what is the purpose of approaching a saintly person, to ask for material blessings. They come by karmic arrangement. You don't need to get blessings for that one. So anyway, he blessed them like that. He saw them all morose. He said, my dear friends, please do not take my words wrongly. What I mean is this. Listen carefully. What I mean is this. That you are, right now, you are all, or right, at least up to now, you've all been remembering Krishna in my presence. I bless you that you will always remember Krishna. That's what I'm actually blessing you. You remain in that state of consciousness always. And give up all your sinful activities. And don't worry, very soon you will also be freed from this prison. So he gave them a really good blessing. They misunderstood it. The blessing of a pure devotee is always all auspicious. So then he was taken to court and tried for his crimes, which in Islam would be considered quite serious, I guess. Converting in the first place is pretty serious. So what to speak of converting others, I mean, you can understand according to their understanding, but that's pretty serious business. Hare Krishna. So then they were back and forth, and the Qazi, Nawab asked, what have we got to say? Because Nawab could see this man is very fortunate. He's not an ordinary person. He's definitely somebody special. And why are you doing like this? And then Haridas was saying there's only one God, the God that is in the Quran, the God that's in the Hindu Vedas. It's the same God, whether you worship God this way or that. What is the difference if one person changes from one, name to another? The God is one. And he was going on. And then they said, well, then why don't you preach according to the Quran? You give up this and chant various prayers in the Quran. You'll be freed of your sin. he said, the Lord Haridas Thakur said, I never, even if you cut my body into hundreds and thousands of pieces, I will never give up chanting the holy name of Krishna. Never. You can do as you wish. I leave it up to you. God is in everyone's heart, guiding everyone's wandering. He's guiding you. He's guiding me. Whatever happens, happens. Why should we make a big issue of it? I will never give up chanting his names. Kazi became furious. Nawab said, what should we do? He said, Kazi said he should be beaten to death in the marketplaces. Drag him away and whip him to death. So they dragged him away, and the guards, and they started whipping him, beating him. All the local Hindus were trying everything they could to stop them. They were all crying and screaming and, wait, no, don't do this. But they wouldn't stop. They were beating him marketplace after marketplace. 22 marketplaces. They finished all the marketplaces. There were none left. Normally a person would die after 1, 2, or most 3 marketplaces. But here he is, 22 marketplaces. He's smiling at them, chanting Hare Krishna all the time and smiling at them. Smiling at them necessarily, but just smiling. And in his heart of hearts, he's praying to the Lord, please forgive them for whatever they're doing and kindly shower your mercy on these men. Please don't take any offense, my Lord. Please be merciful to them. He's like this all the way through. And then Lord Chaitanya said in the house of Haridas Thakur, after describing this, he said, Haridas, do you remember that? Of course he remembered, no doubt. But you don't usually forget things like that. That all took place earlier, so you can understand, that he was already a pure devotee from birth. So the Lord then said, actually, when I saw that happening, I immediately sent my Sudarshan chakra. I went along with my Sudarshan, and I ordered my Sudarshan chakra to sever the heads of all of those offenders on the spot. But Sudarshan was stunned. He couldn't move an inch because of your love for all those offenders. He couldn't hurt one of them. Nothing he could do. So Lord Chaitanya said, my Sudarshan could do nothing. So what to do? He said, so therefore, Lord Chaitanya said, I placed my back on your back. When you were being whipped, Lord Chaitanya said, I placed my back on your back. And then Lord Chaitanya turned around in Haridas Thakur's house and showed his own back, and there were whip marks all the way down his back. I protected you from those whippings. This is the relationship. So everyone was stunned and astonished. Lord Chaitanya continued to glorify Haridas over and over and over again. Everyone was astonished. They knew nothing about him. And he said, because of that, I came earlier than I intended. I sped up my appearance in this world. So you can again understand that these pastimes took place before the Lord manifested his pastimes. And then the Lord asked him, he was asking every devotee, ask for me anything you wish. Haridas Thakur said, I'm not qualified to ask anything, my Lord. I'm so fallen. He was always in this mood. And eventually the Lord said, please ask at least something. He said, well, if you really want to give me a benediction, may lifetime after lifetime after lifetime may appear, and may I live only on the remnants of your actual devotees as my life sustenance. Interesting. And everyone roared with ecstasy, Jai Haridas. Everyone was in ecstasy. Because previously he tried to disturb the Lord's breakfast picnic on the bank of the Yamuna. Tried to stop it. And now he's begging that this will be his sustenance forevermore. He would always stay at a distance. He would never sit with the devotees and take prasad. He would always wait for everybody to finish. If there was any remnant left, he would eat it. Finished. That was it. Only if Govinda would bring it to him, Lord Chaitanya's servant. He was always in this humble position. Always. So there are many, many pastimes. We won't be able to run through them all in the short time which we have today. Of course, in Jagannath Puri, he was residing in the Siddhabakal. Lord Chaitanya gave him this place to stay. Nearby, the Lord was staying in Kashi Mishra's house in a room called Gambhira. And nearby there was this secluded place called Siddhabakal. This Bakal is the name of the tree, and this tree is called Siddhabakal because it has very many powers to it. Not an ordinary Bakal tree. And he stayed there. He never entered the Puri temple because he considered himself unqualified, fallen personality, but he would stay there and just chant day and night. and look at the flag on the chakra on top of the Jagannath Puri temple. Lord Chaitanya said that's the same as seeing Lord Jagannath himself. He would take darshan like that, chant holy names. Rupa and Sanatan stayed with him when they came there to Puri. They would all reside together. There's beautiful pastimes of the snake in the cave and the snake charmer. We won't tell them this morning. They will further emphasize the greatness and the glories. When he was thrown out, well, actually in the trial, we never quite finished what happened, did we? So when they sentenced him to be beaten, at the end of that beating, they came to the 22nd marketplace. The Muslim guards, they were absolutely exhausted and they were devastated. They were fearful because they failed in their mission. There was no more marketplaces left. And they said, and Haridas saw them looking quite morose. They said, why are you looking so miserable? They said, because we're afraid. We failed to kill you. We can understand you're a saintly person. And we, from all angles they were afraid. And they said, even more so, we're afraid that the Nawab or the Ghazi will kill us because we failed to fulfill our duty. Now he may kill us. So they were very scared. And Haridas basically said, well, why didn't you tell me before? I would have died earlier on. If my living causes you suffering, let me die. So immediately he went as if he was dead. He went into deep samadhi. They thought he was dead. There wasn't even a sign of any life symptom. They thought that he died. And they were like, off the hook. They dragged him back to the Nawab, and then they saw he looked like he's been killed by the beatings. And then the Qazi, then the Nawab ordered him to be buried, and the Qazi said, no way, that a Hindu does not deserve rather a Muslim who's become converted like this, such an offense, does not deserve the elevated situation of getting a burial. He should be thrown in the river Ganga like all the other Hindus so he can go and rot in hell forever. So they tied up balls and chains and tried to drag him. It's very great difficulty. At first they couldn't move him an inch. Eventually he agreed to be moved, and they took him and threw him in the Ganga with all these chains on. And normally a person would drown. But there's another statement in Chaitanya Bhagavat which describes how Ganga Devi herself is always hankering for the opportunity to embrace Haridas. So now she's in ecstasy as she's embracing Haridas Thakur. All the chains came off, she embraced him, carried him down the river in her embrace. And then when Ganga goes down river to Pulia, when Haridas reached Pulia, Ganga Devi let him out of her embrace and led him onto the shore of Pulia. He walked straight back into his cave-like dwelling and continued chanting 3 lakhs of names as if nothing ever happened. News of this spread pretty quickly. Pretty quickly, everyone was stunned. Everyone became stunned that now everyone, even the Nawab. But the Qazi said, if he survives this, then we can understand he's a saintly person. So even the Nawab came there with his men, fell at the feet of Haridas, begged forgiveness, and said, you can do anything you like in my kingdom. There is no rule on you. The Qazi, unfortunately, or fortunately, was a little different. He had to suffer the consequences. He wasn't backing off. Difficult to back down. And anyway, whatever, Haridas Thakur was. And the local people asked him, why, how did this happen? How on earth did this happen? How did this go? And you're such a saintly person. Why did the Lord allow this to happen to you? They said, allow this to happen? I deserve to be punished so much more. I got off very lightly. The Lord minimized my punishment. And the local Brahmin said, I couldn't understand a word. What was he talking about? You're the most saintly person in the world. How is this possible? What offense have you committed? He said, I heard blasphemy in the court of the Nawab. That is my offense. I heard blasphemy. Whew, pretty heavy. And in this way, as pastimes went on there, in pastimes. There in Pulia, but we'll jump forward. Time is up. We got to finish off the pastimes. Today is the Tirobhav, it's not the Avirbhav. So the final pastime is the Tirobhav, of course. Haridas Thakur was, every day, Lord Chaitanya would send prasadam with Govinda, his servant, to Haridas in Siddhabakul. So One day, because Haridas was getting old. I mean, he would probably be about 80 years of age or something. I don't know, something like that, if you want to look at it from a material perspective. And so one day Govinda came and he saw Haridas was lying down, chanting. He said, Haridas, please, I've come, Prashadam. Are you okay? Haridas said, today I have to fast. He said, why? I'm feeling diseased. I'm sick. Oh, okay. So Haridas just touched the Prashadam, but he didn't honour any. And Govinda went back and told Lord Chaitanya, Haridas is sick. He looked like he's feeling sick. He's lying down and he told me he couldn't take prasad and he's sick. So Lord Chaitanya the next day went to see Haridas. Please tell me, what is your sickness, Haridas? What is your sickness? What's wrong with you? And Haridas said, actually, my Lord, there's nothing wrong with my body, but my sickness is I cannot finish my rounds. Because his body was sick, he was struggling to finish 192 rounds. Lord Chaitanya said, there's no more need for you to do that. You've already fulfilled your purpose. My Lord, please do not put me in illusion like this. I am the most fallen of creatures. There are millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. He was so humble. He was feeling so bad that he was not finishing his rounds. At least that's what he said. Prabhupada describes how, how devotees, this is a disease condition if we don't finish our rounds. If you've made a promise, that is. It means we're in a disease condition of spiritual life. You have to take this seriously, even though we're not very attentive. Haridas Thakur was an emblem of attentiveness and love when he would chant. It wasn't just mechanical. So then Lord Chaitanya, then he said, my Lord, please, Lord said, how can I help you? And Haridas said, I have one request, my Lord. I do not want to see your final pastimes. Please allow me to leave this material world, leave this wretched body and not have to witness your final. I know that you're winding up your pastimes very soon. I do not want to be a witness of this. Please release me. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, how is this possible? How can I live without you? How can I live without you? Lord Chaitanya went on glorifying Haridas in this way. There's no way I can tolerate your separation, my Lord. Please grant me this one wish. And Lord Chaitanya said, whatever is Krishna's will. What can I say? The devotee's will overrides Krishna's will. Pure devotee's will is. So the next day, Lord Chaitanya came back again with all of his devotees, and they saw Haridas lying there, chanting slowly the holy name. Haridas said he wanted to leave this world in the presence of Lord Chaitanya, with his eyes focused on the lotus face of Lord Chaitanya, chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. This is his eternal position, we could say, is his relationship with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was chanting and chanting and chanting slowly, chanting, and Lord Chaitanya came in with all of his associates, and Lord Chaitanya sat right next to Haridas. Haridas can place the Lord's lotus feet on his chest. Somehow or another, how he did it, I don't know. Gazing at the Lord's lotus face, his lotus eyes, chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was again glorifying Haridas like anything. Kirtan began, and then whilst he was chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur left this world in the hand, with Lord Chaitanya holding him in his arms, tears rolling down the Lord's eyes, down the eyes of Haridas as they were gazing at each other with deep love. And Haridas left this world. Immediately roaring kirtan began. The words were roaring with kirtan. Lord Chaitanya picked up the divine form of Haridas Thakur and danced holding that form of Haridas in the middle of the kirtan. Srup Damodar came along and said, we have to now prepare the arrangements for the samadhi of Haridas. So they brought a suitable vehicle, it's almost like an airship, to carry him to the shore. They took him to the shore accompanied with roaring kirtan, glorification and kirtan. They reached the shore of the Jagannath Puri, the ocean shore, and there and then Lord Chaitanya personally bathed the form, like Abhishek, in the ocean of Haridas Thakur's form. And then after that, Lord Chaitanya declared, anyone who takes bath in this particular spot, this spot has become the holiest tirtha, water, tirtha, ocean, become a holy spot, a tirtha. Anyone who bathes it is assured of love of God. So then they took Haridas's form, and Lord Chaitanya personally, along with the devotees, dug with his own hands. They dug the ground to place Haridas in samadhi, and then they placed him in samadhi, and they will fill the pit with salt and sand, earth, and so on and so forth, placing Haridas in samadhi. They're in Puri. You can go there. Haridas Samadhi is there. The place where he was placed in samadhi is there. And then Lord Chaitanya himself personally went begging left, right, and centre, begging all around the town for a great celebration, a festival to honour Haridas Thakur. Swarup Damodar stopped him after a while, saying, "This is my Lord, this is not, we would do this." They collected the alms required, and a great festival was celebrated for the glorification of Haridas Thakur. And Lord Chaitanya himself was personally serving the prasadam. And then the devotees asked him to please desist, because nobody would take prasadam as long as Lord was serving. And they were all waiting for the Lord to sit down. No one would eat before him. And then the Lord sat down. Let's see. I'll just read the final things, and it's a bit difficult. It's coming out differently on this one. In front of all the great devotees, the Lord began to describe. We've already done this, I think. Let me see. We've already read that or spoke on it. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then after that feast, he spoke to all the devotees. That feast in honor of Haridas, he said. He gave a benediction. Anyone who has seen the festival of Sri Haridas Thakur's passing away, anyone who has chanted and danced here, anyone who has offered sand on the body of Haridas Thakur, anyone who has joined this festival to partake of the prasadam, will achieve the favour of Krishna very soon. There is such wonderful power in seeing Haridas Thakur. Being merciful upon me, Lord Chaitanya said, Krishna gave me the association of Haridas Thakur. Being independent in his desires, he has now broken that association. When Haridas Thakur wanted to leave this material world, it was not within my power to detain him. Simply by his will, Haridas Thakur could give up his life and go away, exactly like Bhishma, who previously died simply by his own desire, as we have heard from Shastra. Haridas Thakur was the crown jewel on the head of this world. Without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told everyone say, all glories to Haridas Thakur.
All glories to Haridas Thakur.
That wasn't very loud. One more time. All glories to Haridas Thakur.
All glories to Haridas Thakur.
And chant the holy name of Hari, Hari.
Hari,
Oh, where's he gone? He's gone. Where's Hari gone? Hari, Hari.
Hari,
Hari, Hari.
Hari.
Saying this, he personally began to dance. Everyone began to chant. All glories to Haridas Thakur, who revealed the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Haridas Thakur ki jai. So that's just a little summary of some of the pastimes of Haridas Thakur. We recommend you try to be conscious of him today. Glorious day of his Tirobhav. Tomorrow's another glorious day. We're having some good days these last few days. And if we want to let's say, come to Shuddhanam, and we have to follow in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur. Pray for his mercy that our chanting become pleasing to the Lord and not just mechanical, avoiding the offences in chanting, as we heard earlier. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. And of course there are many other pastimes, no doubt, but that's enough for me anyway. Any comments or questions? Jai.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I was thinking, you mentioned in your class about how Haridas Thakur, he was first, someone sent a prostitute to seduce him, and then Maya Devi herself came later on to try and tempt him. What was the reason behind this pastime? Can you maybe a little bit elaborate on why did Maya Devi actually come herself to elaborate?
She wanted to also get Krishna Prema. She wanted to associate with Haridas Thakur. I mean, she came in the guise of tempting him, you could say, to show the glories of Haridas Thakur. Sometimes the Lord arranges just to emphasize the actual glories of his devotees. How glorious! Even Maya Devi couldn't tempt him. See how great Haridas Thakur is. So in these ways, both Maya Devi wanted to have that association. She wanted to also have that opportunity to receive the holy name, Krishna Prem, from Haridas. She was attached to Ram, but she received Krishna Prem, of course she's Maya Devi, but she received the holy name of Krishna from him. And in the same time, she completely, absolutely, you could say, made it clear that Haridas Thakur is what he is, eternal associate of the Lord, totally unaffected by the material modes of nature. People misunderstand. They think he's an ordinary person, testing like that. Lord Brahma fell victim to the temptation of his daughter. So in the case of Haridas, he never fell victim even to Maya Devi personified, to show how powerful Krishna consciousness is and how great the devotees are, that the power of the holy name alone can protect us, Krishna alone can protect us. We have to take shelter of the holy name in that mood. If we're taking shelter of Krishna, we're not taking shelter of a mechanical thing, thinking we can carry on with our nefarious mentality. But rather, Haridas Thakur is just completely sheltered under the lotus feet of the Lord and not disturbed by any amount of temptation. Cupid, Maya, whatever. Nothing tempted him. If that makes any sense or not. So for various reasons this pastime would take place. Very important to remember and to take advantage of this association of these personalities who come into this world. In fact, Vinod Thakur talks quite a lot about the glories in the Harinam Chintamani, in some other places also, the greatness of Haridas Thakur. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Anything else? We're being tempted by Maya all the time. We need to be tempted by Krishna. Unfortunately, we're more tempted by Maya. And even when we chant Hare Krishna, after a time our mind is in Maya. And we're listening to our mind, not the holy name. That was a little drop, it was literally a little drop. Anyway, enough for now. Hare Krishna, Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. We'll leave. I don't know when we're leaving.